Hi, I'm Anna Kinsella, and I'm the author of Frida Slattery As Herself. This is my debut novel, and it's the story of Frida Slattery, who is an actress, and John Redden, who is a writer slash director working in the world of theatre. They meet for the first time in Dublin in 2005. Frida is kind of a struggling young actress in her early 20s. She's a little bit lost in life. She's kind of wondering what she's going to end up doing for herself. John is a couple of years older and a bit more established, but he too is very much at the beginning of his career. And just from the first instant that they meet, they're just drawn together, both personally and professionally. They really see kind of potential in each other, I think. So they begin making plays together, and the novel then follows them and their careers, together and apart, over the course of about 17 years. The story moves from Dublin to London and then through LA and New York before circling back to Dublin. And it takes in the projects that Frida and John work on together and the time that they spend apart during those years. I was inspired to write this novel when I myself moved home to Dublin after 12 years living in London. I came back and I was looking at my hometown through new eyes and ruminating a lot on what had changed for me in the intervening years. In London, I've been working as a magazine journalist, and during that time I had interviewed a lot of Irish actors and other kinds of creatives, and I'd been really interested and kind of struck by how many of them, would talk about their longing to go home to Ireland, even though they'd become successful on their own terms in London or LA. I really think that there was kind of an interesting question there around ambition that takes you far from home and yet leaves you kind of yearning to go home in some way as well. And those questions were really fresh on my mind when I myself moved home, and they dovetailed in the idea of an actress, Frida Slattery, who is at a certain point in her life, maybe where she's looking at the choices that she's made in her career and where they've gotten her, and kind of regret and the path not taken, things like that. Once I knew there was this actress, Frida Slattery, I knew that there was a man, a director, a collaborator, someone in her life who I think that their lives were really linked together, intrinsically, that their careers kind of depended on each other in some way. That these people who we kind of grow up together with, and sometimes they kind of make us who we are in a way as well. From there, once I had Frida and John on the page, it really felt less like I was creating a fictional story in writing this book, and more like I was kind of researching and digging into the lives of real people, because that's how real that they felt to me. So this novel, there was a lot of research involved, particularly about Dublin and about the world of the theatre, which is not something I have kind of direct first-hand experience of. So I spent a lot of time in libraries and archives here in Dublin, looking through old magazines, playbills, ads for theatres, cultural ephemera, and all these different things, particularly in the Dublin City archives. I had wonderful help from the librarians and the archivists there as well. And then I edited the first draft of the novel in the National Library, which is a really beautiful historic building in the centre of Dublin. And it just contains a lot of Irish history just written into the walls, basically. It was really an amazing place to kind of put my head down and do really serious work on my manuscript. So while my novel is very contemporary and it's of our modern world in the kind of years from 2005 to 2022, I really wanted that sense of Dublin and the Ireland of the very recent past to come through and to feel alive on the page. And for me, libraries were just so crucial in informing that as well. What I want for readers who read Frida Slattery As Herself to come away with is, I guess, the desire to kind of discuss it with your friends. For me, that's such a big part of the reading experience. Something I enjoy so much is when you finish a novel and you immediately know who you want to recommend it to, and then you want them to hurry up and read it so that you guys can discuss it together. It's just something I really enjoy. And when I was writing Frida, I was really interested in the grey areas of life and human behaviour, and in how two people can have radically different perspectives of the same events. I hope that ambiguity, which is kind of in various parts of the narrative, can then turn into something that the reader will want to discuss with others too. So that's my novel, Frida Slattery As Herself. I hope you really enjoy it, and thanks for all your work in getting books like mine to readers.